John Lennon was never afraid to speak his mind. His 1966 declaration that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus caused a lot of controversy in the United States and was a primary reason for the band's decision to retire from touring at the end of that year. On the other hand, he had no problem criticizing parts of the Beatles' discography that he found unappealing. John Lennon's contempt for Paul McCartney's contributions to the song Let It Be and the Abbey Road closing medley, as well as the 1967 album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, have just been investigated by the ECHO. John was not limited in his criticisms to Paul's writings. Notably, he expressed regret for penning It's Only Love. The one song he truly despises is that one, he stated when asked about it. Those lyrics are awful. John also said that he didn't like his time spent on the set of «Help» «Зрение», которое не имело отношения к музыке. The 1965 picture was a sequel to their 1964 blockbuster, A Hard Day's Night, but many thought it fell short of the standards set by its forerunner. This picture is a disaster of ridiculous antics, a jumble of technological tricks and crazy pursuits, said one critic for the New York Times. Amusing? Nope. Was that thrilling? Something new? So, Help can't hold a candle to A Hard Day's Night's frantic dance of the Fab Four sprinting across a playground, or to the melancholy stroll of Ringo about London by himself. In their own endearing way, the lads are lively and carefree. They end up being quite boring and, dare I say it, redundant. An exhausting attempt to outdo A Hard Day's Night in lunatic frenzy, critic Leslie Hallowell said, which goes to show that some talents work best on low budgets. In this spoof of the James Bond films, George, Paul, and John attempt to rescue Ringo Starr from a cult of scientists who are hell-bent on stealing a ring that a fan had brought to the drummer. The band apparently wasn't into making the film, which took place in the spring of 1965 in London studios and on location in Austria and the Bahamas. According to John, Help was a drag when asked about the recording process. According to him, we were on pot by then, and all the best stuff, with us breaking up and falling about, was left on the cutting room floor. The United Kingdom and the United States both saw the film's debut on July 29, 1965. From a budget of $1.5 million, it grossed $12.1 million over the world. John said, "The film was out of our control in retrospect, 5 years after the film's release. A Hard Day's Night was semi-realistic and allowed us a lot of involvement." Help director Dick Lester, on the other hand, failed to explain the plot. A little more upbeat, John described the event in an interview from 1980. In retrospect, he acknowledged how far ahead of its time it was. He added, "The filming of Help may have been a chore for John, but it did inspire him to compose one of his most famous songs, the title tune. Due to the sudden change in the title, he had little time to compose it for the film,